loyal sons. We'll get 'em on the run, boys. We got 'em on the run. Yes, we are loyal sons. We'll get 'em on the run, boys. We got 'em on the run.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to HLS TV. As always, I'm Molly Moran here with Ryan Ritter, and we are all set and ready to kind of discuss Notre Dame's third week. They played and beat Georgia Tech, which is really exciting. As always, I love being wrong. They made it look a lot easier than I thought they were going to, so that was awesome. Ryan, initial thoughts?
At least for most of the game, they made it look a lot easier.
That's true. We're talking about 58 minutes of the game.
58 minutes of some of the best football I've watched Notre Dame play, and you could tell this team was incredibly well prepared for it. Hats off to Brian Van Gorder, who's been heavily criticized for the past couple seasons for his defensive schemes, especially in the option. And hats off to Brian Kelly for basically saying, I'm going to create this swag group, as he called it, that's going to do nothing but run the triple option. And genius move, which makes I can't believe it's taking this long for a coach to think this is a good idea. Get some preferred walk-ons because you play Navy every year, and now at the ACC, you're going to run into Georgia every few years. So kudos, they were obviously well prepared. And man, did it ever show? Like I said, for the first 58 minutes,
yeah. We'll get to the last two.
The last two will be covered for sure.
Yeah, definitely. The last time we had our little HLS TV preview for this game kind of toward the end of last episode, I think we were very nervous about the defense, and as I said, I was very happy to be proved wrong. So I kind of just wanted to start with some little defensive fun facts that I kind of found. So Georgia Tech had no they had no 3 and outs coming into the game, and Notre Dame forced 2 right off the bat, which was awesome. And I was kind of watching just different press conferences and things, and the Georgia Tech coach definitely said, right off the bat, they're like, crap, we feel uncomfortable. This isn't good. So, I mean, even at the beginning, right off the bat, I was like, okay, maybe I won't be biting my nails off this entire game.
Notre Dame's not quite Alcorn State and Tulane. Who would have thought?
Exactly. Who would have thought? And they had been 12 of 12. In the red zone, 12 touchdowns, and they were only they only scored twice in the 4 times that they got to the red zone. So that's pretty awesome.
Right, and not only that, the defensive performance, even I think best case scenario, if you thought Notre Dame was going to play well against Georgia Tech, you would still expect Georgia Tech to outrush us.
For sure.
Total rushing yards, I mean, they did outrush us, but it was only about 1 yard. It was 216 yards to 215.
Yeah, wow.
A huge statement to what Notre Dame was able to do to them. And the fact that Georgia Tech had to pass 24 times in the game, is absurd. So you immediately get them off their game. And, yeah, Paul Johnson had to have been, oh, hell, I think BVG figured out what I'm doing here.
Exactly.
I'm used to Johnson, and he's very smart with the way he runs the triple option offense. It's not a vanilla triple option. He will throw different wrinkles in there, but anything he would run, it wasn't fooling the defense. They were being able to stay on the ball, and it was really rare. You could see them lose contained on a couple different occasions, but for the most part, they were on the ball. They were making sure that they were not giving up the huge gains, and especially after watching Virginia attack the edges, unbelievably impressed that they did what they did.
Agreed. Yeah. And like you said, I mean, when they started to be forced to pass, I knew that they were aware that they were in trouble. Always what you want, because they were not very great at passing. So when they were forced to pass, I was feeling very comfortable and happy.
Yeah, and we had Jalen Smith covering passes downfield. What freaking nature when he's playing. He's basically playing cornerback and linebacker in the same game, and it's unbelievable what that guy can do. And we said last week he needs to kind of be the Manti Te'o, do everything in the defense. By God, if he can do everything.
Yep, I thought of that comment when I was watching the game. I was like, oh, that's kind of what Ryan was talking about. He just needs to be ready to go whenever situation. He just needs to see the ball and go for it. And I think that's definitely what he did.
Yeah, and we should give hat tip to Drew Tranquil, who put together an unbelievable, impressive first half to the point where I'm like, this is the defensive MVP of the game. And, of course, with every game this season, Notre Dame apparently has to sacrifice a player to the MCL, ACL football gods, and he goes down on a freak accident. And I know I'm kind of jumping around, but do you want to go?
We're rolling with it. What welcome to HLS TV.
Right. But yeah, so I know one of the, and we talked about this before we recorded, somewhat of a minor debate is, hey, he got injured, not during the game, but celebration. How are you feeling about celebrations on the field and such, and related to Drew's unfortunate injury?
Yeah, I think it's so hard because it's one of those things that you can dissect in such an intelligent way, like out of the game, like, oh, that probably wasn't smart to do. But when those 18 to 20-year-old kids have this sort of emotions running, what are they going to do? I mean, and the thing was, his celebration wasn't, my dad was like, oh, he was acting so stupid. I can't believe he did that. And I was like, oh my gosh, what did he do? Is he like jumping up and down excessively? He literally did the jump up in the air, hit the guy's back thing, and just came down funny. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, one part of me is like, yeah, they probably should never do that. Protect your knees, but you're going to be able to stop it. You know what I mean? Just in that, moment of such adrenaline rush and emotion.
Yeah, and it almost seems like there's an age line to where kind of it's like, oh, it's that damn kids, get off my lawn.
Sure, yeah. My dad's definitely like whippersnappers. Don't do that.
Yeah, and my reply to that is, I mean, I'm a big wrestling fan, so I watch, and that's an incredibly dangerous sport or sports entertainment or fake sport, whatever you want to call it. But I remember watching a guy was making his debut on one of the big live shows, and all he did was he threw his shoulder up. That's how he intros. That's all he does. He just makes this basically big fist pump, and as soon as he does it, he starts grabbing his shoulder, and you could tell something was wrong. It turns out the guy ripped something in his rotator cuff, shoulder muscle, something, by just doing an over-enthusiastic arm pump, something that looked completely innocuous, didn't look overzealous at all. It's just one of those things to where, as we talked about last week, when a ligament just decides it's going to go, it's going to go. And poor Drew, he had this happen to him last season.
Oh, I know.
And I don't know if you say thankfully it's the other way, because the guys have to get 2 ACLs replaced in 2 different legs. But yeah, that's rough. And I'm definitely on the, hey, let them celebrate. I mean, as long as you're not going too super crazy.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do. And
right.
I'm not going to get on the kid for
exactly. Yeah, I mean, when I saw it, I was like, oh, that wasn't so bad. I thought he was jumping up and down excessively. But I was like, well, that's what they do. But I was just going to say, too, oh, my gosh, the sound from that. Did you, you could hear him crying, and I was like, oh, no.
And I think my exact tweet was get the F off of him with the microphone. This is get away.
So terrible. I was like, oh, my goodness, because I saw people. I was, unfortunately, at a wedding. I mean, not unfortunately. Happily ever after to the booth.
Unfortunately, what the hell are you doing getting married in the fall?
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, and I have 2 more. So anyways, I was reading Twitter, under my, trying to be polite during the dinner. But anyways, I saw people saying oh my gosh, you could hear him crying. And I didn't know what that meant until I watched the game. And oh my gosh, you could hear him crying. That was awful.
And that's how you knew. I was like, he's out. It's like, that's an ACL. My wife's like, how do you know? It's like, when I was a manager, I was on the field and right next to somebody who tore their ACL during fall camp. And you just hear this pop and just blood curdling screaming, and they're hosed up. So I was like, son of a bitch, this is just not fair. And
I know. I'm still seriously wondering what we did to the football gods. I don't know.
Dude had a tweet saying it was probably not a wise idea to build the crossroads over an Indian burial ground, but I mean, that's kind of the luck that we're having right now. And I even saw people that cover Southern Cal on Twitter is like, this is absurd. That was even an off the wall celebration. That's something every single college football player does multiple times in the game.
I know. I kind of feel like it's Kelly saying Notre Dame has depth, and the football gods being like, well, do you really? We'll find out.
Yes, so we're going to take away somebody every single game. But I mean, to the depth comment, Elijah Shoemake comes in. He's a captain of the team. He doesn't get to start. He barely gets to play. And what does he do on the first series back? He forces a fumble. So it's unbelievable that the next man in thing is working to this point.
Yeah.
But we're going to start running out of guys. The roster is not unlimited.
You don't want to have to see it tested every game. They're that's great. It works. We get it. Let's not have any more injuries. But yeah, I mean, again, I think I made the comment last episode. I really do just think this team does have like just one of those kind of special attitudes. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to take it as far as like, oh, this is a special season and amazing things are going to happen, because it's still early on. But I think that, you know, they really are refusing to lose, and the next man in thing is working. So
yeah, and the burn your boat thing. I don't know if they're taking it a little too literally, burning ligaments and everything else, but
right.
yeah, I can only imagine Showtime is probably, maybe that's it. Maybe it's the Showtime jinx to where,
oh man, that's true.
We got compelling TV. We got like a defensive tackle getting injured, you know, in fall camp. We got Folston in week 1, Zaire in week 2, and now we're gonna have Drew Tranquil week 3. So maybe Showtime jinx.
That's true. I know they're probably loving this, and then depending, you know, where the season does end up, it's like, man, think of all the storied things that have happened up to that point. But
yeah, they get to document it all.
No more injuries.
which is, it's cool that we get to see the inside look, but it's also heartbreaking. Like, it was really hard for me to watch the episode last week, and we're recording this on a Tuesday afternoon, so we haven't watched this week's episode, but I'm pretty sure Tranquil will be featured in there as well. I mean, he was crying in the locker room. I've already seen some clips of that. So, I mean, it's just, again, these are kids, you know, this is, you know, part of their dream, and it's rough to see them go down, and to go down with something that's just, you know, it's just such bad.
Such a freak accident, I know. Ugh. So we got off on that tangent. So Drew Tranquil injured. Let's see, what else do we want to talk about? So, okay, defense. So we were talking about the defense. We kind of highlighted a little bit of the first 58 minutes. They were impressive. Yay. But we do have to still cover that last 2 minutes. And before we started filming, I was saying, again, I was at a wedding. I was able to kind of follow along pretty well just with Twitter and ESPN app and all that sort of thing. So it was like 30-7. And I was like, okay, we got this. Put my phone down. I get the little alerts and the game's over, and it was 30-22. And I was like, okay, what just happened? So I was just saying before we started filming, it's kind of unfortunate because if you hadn't watched the whole game, you would have thought that it was so much closer.
Right.
So,
and yeah, you go back and watch those last 2 minutes, you're like, what the hell happened? And
no.
it was a lot of things. And yes, first off, that is the biggest problem of having that, because Notre Dame dominated for 58 minutes. The score wasn't that close. But I mean, it's one of the things, and look, I do it too. You know, when I prepare, you know, for, you know, shows, writing, and I can't remember a game, I'm looking up, it's like, let's just check the scores and how they did. So, I mean, that's the easy way to do things, unfortunately. But yeah, it was a lot of things, I think. Obviously, they got a little lax in the first touchdown, which was okay. The big problem was that on that first onside kick that Georgia Tech recovered, special teams look lost. They look confused. You got a guy sitting back waiting for the ball, which is never a good idea. You didn't have the front line basically blocking and taking people out from even getting close to the ball. So once you have that happen, the defense is like, well, hell, we got to go back out there again. So you got a tired defense, and, you know, it just sucked that it happened again, and they gave up another touchdown. But you definitely saw special teams correcting the mistakes, because I've never seen people get hit that hard on an onside kick than that second one, because they made sure that they weren't going to recover that. So
exactly, yeah. Yeah, definitely a crazy last 2 minutes, though. They didn't roll over and die. I'll give Georgia Tech that, but I was frustrated.
Paul Johnson just didn't want to make it look that bad, that dick.
I know. And I just felt bad for the defense, too, because they had done so well that whole game, and I was like, oh, man, I really wanted them to be able to finish it out.
You got to stop them, though. You absolutely – and yeah, you feel bad, but you still got to do your job.
I know. Exactly. They did. They just looked – I think they, too, were kind of like, all right, 30-7, we got this. This is a good one. And I was like, crap, guys. That's for us to breathe a sigh of relief.
Right. I know. It happens. It was funny even in the prediction, and it's just because somebody says, like, you know, you had to edit that after. It's like, no, I've watched too many Notre Dame games, and I'm fully expecting there to be a trash touchdown. I wasn't expecting two.
Right.
Yeah, I mean.
Rapid fire succession.
Right. And so, hey, and again, the biggest problem is, I think maybe, you know, and this is a big if, because there's still a lot of football left to be played, if the Irish do manage to somehow hold on, stay undefeated, and they're getting into playoff contention and those debates start, those are some of the things that maybe the committee looks back on saying, yeah, they played a dominating game, but man, that score was, you know, closer than it probably should have been. And hey, maybe this other team didn't have such close games, but we mentioned it last week. Auburn struggled against an FCS team. Ohio State struggled this week against Northern Illinois. Right, well, we can't use Arkansas as an example anymore because I think they're just terrible because they lose to Texas Tech. But yeah, wins are not easy in college football, but on the same note, when you have the dominating win right there, I mean, you got to take it. You got to have that killer instinct to take it, and they just fell apart a little bit at the end.
Right, I know. It's unfortunate. But
yeah. Especially, I can only imagine you. It's easier if you're watching. I can only imagine you sitting there getting alerts at the wedding, like, what the hell?
Seriously, I was like, oh my gosh, what? And then, of course, I had to like try to look up some sort of footage, or I don't know, like go to Twitter and like, what happened, and look up some, explanation. Because seriously, I was lost. I thought it was like a typo.
And then you had, because we've seen too many heartbreaks before, were you in your mind going, I'm going to have to rewatch this and watch Notre Dame blow one of their biggest leads in the amount of time possible?
Yeah, and it's like a scary movie. You know how like when you watch scary movies over and over, you know what's going to happen, or any movie? Like I was like watching the game knowing that we were going to win, but like in that last 2 minutes, I'm like, oh my God, they're going to score again. They're going to recover this onside kick, and it's just awful. And I knew anyway, but it was terrifying.
That's never fun. And probably the worst is when you do have to recap that loss and it's terrible and you got to rewatch the thing to make sure, with sober and more attentive eyes of what's going on. Yeah, that's the worst. I
know, it is. Or at least this, I knew they were going to win. But yeah, definitely rewatching losses. It's like, but you could have gotten that touchdown and you're not going to lose, right? You're going to pull this out. But
actually, that you could have gotten that touchdown. Maybe a good segue into the offense.
Yeah, let's do that.
I don't know about you, but that felt like my theme of the day for the offense. How'd you?
You could have got that touchdown.
You start. How did you feel about how they Irish did on offense?
Again, so I'm like, offense. I was just so high on the defense, and again, I was like at a wedding. I did watch the game, but I'm like, what did they do on offense?
Yeah, I mean, Procyse had a great day.
Exactly. I was telling Ryan before we started filming, I was like, I have Post-it notes along my computer for notes. So his 91-yard touchdown run. That was like the longest Notre Dame stadium. That's exciting.
Yeah, and that was really the dagger to the entire game. That's how you knew it was over.
A dagger with flair, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I think, I could be wrong, but I think Denard Robinson had that record. And so now, thank God, we got that away from him.
Yeah, that makes it even better. I didn't know that.
Yes, somebody had that out on Twitter. I forget who it was. It's like the best part about this is Denard Robinson, longest touchdown run in Notre Dame Stadium history, is no longer a thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we don't want that. We got to reverse some bad mojo.
Yeah.
That was probably it.
Yeah, like I said, the offense, it was one of those, I don't know if you could say kind of vanilla performance, but they didn't really do anything too terrible, even though they did turn the ball over twice. And there was that awful interception in the end zone. If there was a theme, it was that, we didn't score what we could have. I mean, we could say for the defense, the score shouldn't have been that close. We could put the blame on the offense as well, in my opinion.
Yeah. Now that I've kind of got my thoughts gathered, I'd like seriously had like a brain from like offense. Yeah. Just because, again, I feel like our emphasis on this game was the defense just because of the triple option. But I feel like because Deshaun Kaiser was going into this game, starting it, I kind of felt like they were probably just going to give him a pretty simple, like, just don't screw up sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like what they were having him do wasn't, like you said, it was pretty vanilla. I think it was just like, don't make too many mistakes. Let's try to score. But yeah, I guess I was a little underwhelmed with the offense, but not completely disappointed. I mean, this game to me was the defense kind of holding everything together. I just wish that the offense could have risen a little bit to their performance.
Right. And that's when you look, it's like, yep, this is a redshirt freshman getting first start. He's
right.
And it wasn't just him. Chris Brown was dropping balls when he should have. And he recovered. I'll give him credit. He recovered later in the game and stopped being a liability. And third and short, still hair pulling. We knock people off the ball every other down. It's when people know it's coming, it's like we can't kind of figure it out. But, we did knock one in close to the end zone, so it did look a little bit better there. But, yeah, it's concerning that still on third and short we're having issues.
Right.
But beyond that, like you said, balanced attack, 32 runs to 30 passes is what I'm looking up on the box score right now. Kaiser, not great. Well, did good enough, but Procise nearly rushing for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Of course, that 91-yard absolute dagger in the heart of Georgia Tech. And, to this depth thing, this is a guy that started his career at Notre Dame as a defensive back, went to receiver. Now he's a running back. He is having beyond my expectations thus far of what he can do in the game. And I know the big concern is he's getting a lot of carries. I'm not as concerned yet. I probably should be more concerned as it goes on. But I have a feeling he will not be featured as heavily against UMass. And so he may get spots to kind of spell himself a little bit. But he, thus far, is showing zero signs of wearing down. I know it's still early, but how do you feel about CJ? I think he's just been off-the-wall impressive thus far.
Oh my God. Yeah, I totally forgot that he started, as a safety. I was watching kind of the, Watch ND videos that they have. I love, all the little, interviews and specials that they do, and they're talking to his family, and I totally forgot that. I, remembered him as a receiver, and I was like, holy cow, he is – you would never know that he wasn't a running back. And my dad has been saying, they gotta sit him out. They gotta give him a little bit of rest. And I'm like, I'm with the hashtag run the, damn CJ Procise or whatever people always tweet. I'm like,
Moons and Irish Tightness are the two keepers of the.
I love that.
Spelling, I'm dyslexic, so I'd probably end up messing up here. But
that's what it means, though. Run the damn CJ Procise.
Yeah, run the damn ball, because it used to be run the damn Terry and Folsom.
Exactly.
Yeah. CJ Procise.
I know. I was like, you know what? You're right. They probably should give him a little bit of a break. But I'm like, but he looks like he's having so much fun. He's doing so good. Just keep on keeping on. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you that they probably won't feature him as much against UMass, and they probably should be getting whoever's behind him in there. Who is behind him?
Yeah, Josh Adams. Well, I mean,
I was like, oh my God.
And it was one of those things to where, and there was some, I remember looking on Twitter that it's like, well, where's Adams? Is he going to get any carries? And
right.
So the freshmen are going to be heavily featured, I can imagine, for some of the games where we think we're going to be more in control.
Yeah.
That's always the knock on.
Hesitantly say think, but yeah.
Yeah, we talked about Virginia. It's the letdown, look ahead sandwich. And Notre Dame's got 3 of them. Virginia's right in the middle of 2.
For sure.
It's in the middle of 2 big games. Texas, not that good, but that was your season opener, your big performance. So your letdown was Virginia while you're looking ahead to Georgia Tech. At UMass, because that could be a huge letdown for your superior performance there. Looking ahead to Clemson. And once Clemson's done, you then have Navy and looking ahead to Southern Cal. So it is this schedule is I don't know what the solid verbal if they would term it this, because they are the ones that, at least I know, that coined the letdown look ahead sandwich. So this is a letdown look ahead sandwich buffet in the schedule.
Yeah, it's definitely they have whiplash a schedule for sure.
And Kelly was trying to sell that in his press conference today. Oh yeah, this is a nightmare to prepare for because we have the triple option, and now this pass heavy team. But good politician talk by BK.
For sure.
Calling them a MAC powerhouse, which I thought was very funny considering they've won 5 games since they've been in the FBS these past few years. So
yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't know their mascot. Not that it's important, but I was like, UMass, what are they?
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
Intimidating.
MQ's it's we need to go on a hunt to find, is there a UMass person on Twitter? I said, I don't know if we can find one. SB Nation, groups them in their Hustle Belt blog, which is kind of their catch-all for everybody else. And there's one guy that we found, and he piped up and said, hey guys, how you doing?
Aw.
I'm gonna see if I can get him on the Friday roundup later this week.
That'd be awesome.
Reach out to him to kind of get a little bit more background, because this it's one of those you can only know so much about many of football teams, especially one that's barely been in the FBS.
No, I know, and I hate to say it, but unfortunately, some teams I just don't care. I want to play them and see how it goes. Other than that, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I'm not really, and that's honestly one of the questions I want to ask him is what is UMass football? I mean, it's not Notre Dame football in terms of people getting pumped up and excited. And the reason I say that is because the faculty in 2012, they wanted them to go back to FCS. There's a back and forth there. They're going to be leaving the MAC after this season, so there's been some turmoil there. It's been a rough transition.
Gotcha.
They had a big coaching change. The whole idea was Molnar, I think that's how you pronounce his name, former offensive coordinator for Notre Dame is like, oh, hey, we'll help out one of our own because we got this spot in the schedule we can't fill. All the, the Big Ten teams are starting their conference play, so they're locked up. The ACC schedule doesn't fit in. So it was one of those unfortunate things that we couldn't find anybody but UMass, and it was as close as we will hopefully ever get to scheduling an FCS school.
Yeah.
Because that's more or less, let's be honest, it's more or less what the Irish did here, because they're not that far removed for it. But, I mean, at least you could justify it's like, yeah, we're helping out one of our own, and then our own got fired, and you're like, damn, that's why we shouldn't have done this. But we didn't have a choice, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's your UMass preview.
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, we're going to play them.
That's the ball a lot, and they could test out a secondary that hasn't looked so great. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I don't know. I don't. Weirdly, this is like one of those games though that I'm like, I get worried, like completely writing it off.
Yeah, and again, that's the old theory behind
which is
sandwich, because the meat of that sandwich is supposed to be the easy part. It's like this is the one that we shouldn't be worried about. We should all, Clemson, the primetime game on the road. That's going to be a huge test. And Clemson's showed some holes, so maybe you get a little bit excited that you can get that big road win because Clemson may not be as good as everybody thought.
Right.
But, yeah, you still got to play the game on the field. And
right. And the other thing is, like you said, since UMass is, I don't know, only a little bit above crappy, they presumably you would but like they can't just win. They really should have a very convincing win. So it's like the Georgia Tech thing. They did win, but again, those last 2 minutes could very well count against us depending how the rest of the season goes. And so I think I just get worried because you really can't just win. You can't just beat UMass. They should really massacre them. Right. So
and like we said, this should be
that's the danger of scheduling teams like that. But again, we get why it happened and why it had to. But that's why again, with this whole new playoff system, you like almost can't afford to do that. It's like not worth it.
Well, not only that, with the rate that we're piling up injuries.
Yeah, I know. Let's not lose anyone to UMass.
Yeah, we need to get the backup some playing time. That's not the scout team. And, let's be honest. I don't pretend to know what UMass's schedule is, but I have a feeling we're their biggest game all season long.
I would think so. Yeah.
So this is their chance. I mean, if they win one game all season, they'd be like, hey, we took down Notre Dame.
Right.
That's always the concern when you have the quote-unquote lesser opponent coming over to Notre Dame is, hey, now we beat them at home. Holy crap, right. My college career. Virginia basically played. I think that I will be surprised if they play a game better than they did all season. I don't know if I will check Johns's quarterback stats going forward, but I mean, he put together an impressive game. That just tends to happen, with Notre Dame. I know it sounds arrogant and cocky, but that just no. The fact that's a huge feather in your cap. If you could take out Notre Dame, the rest of the nation that doesn't like Notre Dame would love to see it happen.
Right.
Team on the air, like ESPN ran some poll, 95% of fans don't think Notre Dame can even come close to making it to playoff contention. So that's.
Well, I hate 95% of the people they polled. I'm kidding.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's the big thing. So if I know Wimbush, Kelly wanted him to get in for Georgia Tech, but the defense couldn't get off the field. So Wimbush stays on the sideline. I joked we preserved his red shirt. I know that's not going to stay.
Right.
Because he's going to have to get some minutes. The freshman running back's going to have to get some minutes in there.
Right.
And, same thing with the defense. We need to make sure the defensive side of the ball, the twos get in. We barely Niles Morgan all season. He may be called upon to come in for a game or two. The safeties are always looking a little – now that, Depp took a big hit with Tranquil, we need to make sure Shoemate as well as Redfield both get some playing time in there.
Right. So, I think that's what will make this game interesting for sure because, looking at the schedule, I'm like, UMass, woohoo. But I think definitely just to kind of see what we have depth-wise, I'm kind of excited to –
yeah. But, I mean, we're talking about it like it should be Talk about it like it should be a glorified scrimmage because really that's what it needs to end up being. And if it doesn't, then something went wrong because if your Wolves are having to stay in for the entire game against UMass, you really didn't come ready to play, and that is very concerning considering the schedule doesn't exactly get a whole lot easier for the rest of the going into October. Right. And even after that bye week, that midway point after Southern Cal, you can kind of take a breath. You still get into the meat of your ACC schedule. There are some semi-dangerous teams around there. Stanford, all of a sudden, after they look like a mess against Northwestern, they take out Southern Cal in extremely convincing fashion last week.
Stanford's always tough at Stanford. I think that's always a really scary game.
Yeah, so now that game, you're like, oh, haha, they lost to Northwestern. Now it's they look like they're starting to figure it out.
Right.
As the weeks go on, which, I mean, they have a young and experienced defense, so maybe they're gelling back together. And you also, Pitt's always a dangerous team on the road. They have, that's always been the WTF loss of.
Yes, Pitt is just pulling teeth always. I don't know why, but I see that game on schedule. I'm like, crap.
So basically, this is a long-winded way to get around. You got to be up for every game because when you look at even the second half of the schedule, it's a lot easier. Our schedule's front-loaded. But if you're not up for every game, you're going to stumble. And if you're going to be a New Year's Six bowl contender, if you're going to be a playoff contender, you can't take a week off, for lack of a better term.
Yep. Yeah, guys, no weeks off.
You got to find the boats every single freaking week.
Don't take it too literally.
Yes, for the love of God, I can't handle another injury. And it's not just happening to Notre Dame; it's happening to the Cowboys.
I know. Yeah, in general, football season just seems like, I mean, and it's like key players. I know, I felt bad. I was like, oh no, Cowboys.
And I'm like, Des Bryant goes down week 1, Tony Romo week 2, and I said this is ridiculous. It even went into pro wrestling. Well, my favorite wrestler ever got injured Sunday as well. I'm seeing
a bit of a connection here.
Yeah, I know. And I go see Garth Brooks on Sunday night, and he had a lot of shows before that, so his voice was shot. So he was fighting through being hurt as well. I was like, holy crap, what did I do to piss off everything that I liked in 20?
#blame Tex. What are you doing?
Blame Tex. It's incredible to where it's now a running joke to where I swear anytime something bad happens, like, oh, can you root for the Patriots now? Can you root for the team? Go root for Southern Cal. I'm like, no, screw every single one of you. I cannot stomach that kind of crap.
Yeah, just okay. We won't ask you to do that. Just stop.
No, if this keep happening week after week, somebody's going to go probably send me a Trojan jersey and say, freaking wear it.
Do it. Yeah, I don't know. That's a little curious now that you've mentioned all that.
Yeah.
Got my eye on you. No more funny business.
I don't know what I did.
I know.
I have no idea.
Anyone did. I know, it's so weird. Like, as fans, I feel like I really try to not be like superstitious, but I really am just looking at the season like, what can I do? Do I need to like wear something backwards? Was I wearing something different? It's so dumb, but I really do like take things on. Like, I like feel like I take on guilt or something.
I used to be a pitcher of baseball. I'm one of the most superstitious people in the planet, to where I've actually worn something different for each week, just kind of because it happened, not because necessarily I planned it. But, my week 1, I was like, I'm going to wear the last year's Shamrock Series jersey because LSU in it. So I'm like, okay, that's good. I went out to Virginia and I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe that jersey's good luck, but I don't want to wear blue and, potentially mix in with one of the Virginia colors. So I wore all green. And I decided, hey, I'm going to match my kid because my dad got him like this Under Armour polo. So I was like,
okay. Oh, yeah, the Under Armour polo. Cute.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm going to match the kid. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
So I know it's not. It's like I've worn everything. Everything I have been, the green jersey has been good luck, quote unquote, good luck for me for years. And the Shamrock Series jersey. So it doesn't matter. I don't know what it is.
I know. Yeah, I don't have a thing this season. I can't remember if it was when we went 12-0. I think it was. I would paint my nails every game because it calmed me down. And so every game I was like, okay, I got to change my nail polish because otherwise, I threw a nail file at the TV once, but it's okay. That's inconsequential. But so it was a little dangerous because I was like armed with weapons. But yeah, it would like calm me down because sometimes I can't even eat on game day. And so yeah, but this season I don't even have anything. I need to. I don't know. Maybe that's good. I'll just keep doing nothing. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea either as far as what I'm doing. But yeah,
stop whatever it is. Figure it out.
I can't believe we got to hear. Oh, here I am. We're gonna have extra sounds in here. Hopefully that wasn't coming through. I was trying to pull up Spotify, see if I could pipe in some music. Very superstitious, but apparently my Spotify install's broken. So go me. So if you're extra sounds, it's again Texas broken Google Hangout again. Yay.
Yeah. So there we go off on tangents again. But everybody has their little superstitions, and I think they're kind of fun to talk about. So
they're extremely fun to talk about.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, I don't have one this season, but I was texting my cousin during the game. She was giving me very good, like, play-by-plays, and she said she was in the kitchen for pretzels. And I don't know who it was, but a touchdown was scored, and I was like, get back in the kitchen, get more pretzels. And I was dead serious, and she did. Yeah, I was like, don't come back out. Like that commercial, if it, doesn't, what is it, like if it's weird, but it works sort of thing. Yeah.
Right. Let's see if we can get it. I think I'm queuing it up here. Let's see if we got it.
Yeah.
There we go.
I like that. We need music to end every episode.
Yeah. That involves effort.
It does. Yeah. We just like going off on tangents and, mildly discussing the actual game.
Right. I don't have time for post
effort here.
I just got time for that. Okay, well, the YouTube video of this is hilarious because they're actually throwing like it's a mix of Stevie Wonder pictures and like bad luck things. There's black cats, people walking under ladders.
True. If you walked under any ladders, you own a black cat. These are things that
and throw the salt over the shoulder or whatever. We got to. Maybe it's just the whole Irish fan base. We need to find something different.
Yes, we need to like all meet up, spin around 3 times, spit over our shoulder, something.
Or did Brian Kelly do something? Let's be honest here. We're blaming Schmitz a lot, but maybe we should look at Brian Kelly.
We'll have to look into that.
All right, had my fun there. Okay, so now that I've completely thrown everything off the rails,
it's good. It is good.
So is it MVP time or where are we at? What is next?
MVP time. I think so. I know. What time is it? MVP time. Okay. Man, I didn't really do much thinking about this. I was just happy we won. So
yeah.
We'll do offensive MVP.
Okay.
I
think this one's going to be easy. I'll be shocked if we are different here at all.
1, 2, 3. CJ
Pro-size. Yeah. He rushed for nearly 200 yards. He nearly outrushed Georgia Tech on his own and did outrush on his own the top 2 rushers for Georgia Tech. So, I mean, I don't know how you can't give it to him. And I think I may have been – I know on the staff I was the only one that picked CJ Pro-size to be the leading rusher. I don't know what the rest of the people that did the predictions on the HLS post did, but I feel proud of that one. I was like, he's going to do it. It was totally homer of me. I can only take so much credit. I just was sitting there. I was like, and literally my logic behind it was, you know what? Everything is telling me that Georgia Tech should win this game. Therefore, I'm going to pick Notre Dame because that makes sense. That's logic there.
And that's the kind of logic you need to be a Notre Dame fan, really.
Yeah, but I mean, if I was going to do that, I'm like, I'm going full bore because if we were going to win and we were going to win in the fashion that we did and the way I predicted it, CJ Pro-size was going to have to be the top rusher in the game, and he
was stepped up.
Yeah, he did great. So defense.
Right. Defense. Jalen Smith.
Yeah, it would have been Drew Tranquil had he not gotten hurt.
Can I give him like a half MVP?
Yeah, he definitely.
When he wasn't hurt, oh my gosh, that's what really is heartbreaking. He was putting together such a good game, and he looked so good. Oh,
yeah, it was like every other tackle was Drew Tranquil or Jalen Smith.
Yeah.
Drew's in the backfield. He's breaking up passes. He's staying on. Everything tackles for loss. He was just, you're like, wow, you can see why he's starting because this guy he's got the option offense down. I know Kelly said, Redfield didn't start. It had a lot more to do with he couldn't tackle with his thumb. Honestly, with some of the issues that Redfield's had before, I wonder if it wasn't like, yeah, your thumb probably is okay.
Right. Quote unquote thumb.
Yeah. So, and I think it was telling that, hey, we could put in Redfield who may be able to play, may not be able to play with a thumb, but we're going to put in Shoemate instead. So that was very telling, and to where Kelly said, oh yeah, Redfield, we expect him to start this week. So I'll be interested to see what happens against Navy if Shoemate gets to start over Redfield or Redfield has a mysterious injury that flared up during practice that keeps him on the bench.
Yeah.
It's the fun thing in baseball to where you have a bad performance and they put you on the DL and they always do funny things. It's like, strained buttocks or pull the two that always end up on there. It's like, oh, yeah, that happened because you can't really tell if that's a thing because those injuries, if you have them, you can kind of walk around normally. You don't have that much of a limp. So
Yeah.
We'll see what happens there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, Jalen Smith, defensive MVP, would be mine as well, even though I did say the honorable mention. But, yeah, Jalen, because he was an absolute machine. And a hat tip to Sheldon Day on the defensive line as well, because eventually he's going to have an MVP game. And I think I'm hoping it's against Clemson, because that's where we're going to need him to be in the backfield causing a good pass rush, because he seems to be – he's becoming Lewis Nix for me in the sense that he always seems to be causing disruption. He may not make the play, but you got to get around him. And because you get around, you have Jalen Smith right there too. I mean, it's not really picking up the pieces. He's just that talented where he's going to get there. And because he has to take that extra step, he's going to get there even faster.
Right. And Sheldon Day has really nice dreads, which I appreciate.
And so does Will Fuller, who, I mean, God, the whole episode didn't even mention Will Fuller burning people again like it's nobody's business.
See, that's the thing. Sadly, you get so used to Will Fuller being Will Fuller that you almost forget to mention him.
Yeah, and it was the point to where that was the first third down conversion in the game was the effort, throw it deep to Fuller.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, well, do that. And the next third down, I said, you see, the issue was you didn't throw it deep to Will Fuller. You threw a mid-range pass to him, and he didn't get the first down.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I don't know. That's another tangent. Dreads.
Hey, they're powerful. The Subway Domer would 100% approve of that.
I know. He gets me on the dread thing. I tweet about it all the time. No one seems to appreciate it. But anytime I'm watching a game like NFL, anything, I'll be like, number whatever has dreads. And people are like, okay. I'm like, they're really nice. They're red tipped. They're like, okay, Molly. I don't know. It's just my thing.
You have to understand what dreads mean inside the ND blogosphere here, because Subway Domer. Yeah, to where it's God. Who did he say was the people's champ? I even listened to the podcast that he did where he said I think maybe he said Shumate was the people's champ.
Yeah,
because he doesn't want to pick a mainline starter. That's part of it. He always wants to. Which people's champ then coming up with the fumble there. So
true.
We all love the pace. Giving shout outs to Subway Domer, Dread, Superstitions. This is a classic HLS TV.
It is basically this is what you come to know and hopefully love, right? Yeah.
People are still listening and watching it, so
we haven't scared you away yet. Just join us next week for more tangents and stuff.
Yeah, as long as we're not putting up goose eggs, something's working right.
Yeah, well, see, this is what happens when you win and you have happy HLS things. You are all over the place.
Yeah, that's very true. And when the sad, depressing things happen, you can tell on our faces if you watch, or you can tell our voices if you listen.
It's very matter of fact, just boom, boom, boom. Let's discuss and be done. There's nothing else to talk about.
Yeah, it's like, are we done? It's like a 20-minute episode. Okay, that works.
Exactly. It's like, okay, we lost it. Stuff. Let's come back next week. So none of those this season. We're not doing that.
Yeah, and you know what? If UMass ends up being a depressing episode, that may be just the worst episode of all time. So
yeah, so either come back for more tangents than the usual or something completely out of the ordinary. But we're not banking on that. We're gonna beat those Minutemen.
Exactly. And we'll have to throw some Missy Elliott in there for next week. I need to actually put up a soundboard. I have actually, because now that they're doing the podcast, I have a soundboard. I just never have the time to load it up, which is why I'm sitting here clicking around trying to find superstition.
We don't do effort here on HLS TV.
Oh, we do effort. It's more time. I need more time.
It's true. We do effort. We just don't do. Yeah, we just don't have time. Why aren't days 48 hours long?
Because then I'd be exhausted. I'm already tired of
this. I know. That would be a great superpower, not needing sleep. So now that we're off on other tangents, I think this is a good time to just wrap this on up and welcome you back for, next week. Well, we'll welcome you back next week after the game.
It's a teaser. It's a teaser for next week.
It is. It's a teaser. So, on that note, go Irish, beat Minutemen.
Yes, beat Minutemen.
Since we are a loyal son.